everyone, it's Andrea from Movers and Bakers. Today I'm going to share with you how to make my raspberry and white chocolate cookies. These are delicious, chewy cookies packed with chocolate chips and stuffed with fresh raspberries. Let's get baking. So to start with, we are going to use a stand mixer, and in here I'm going to pop my butter. Now I'm using unsalted butter today, and it's a little bit on the cool side, so I'm actually going to beat this before I add my sugar in as well. So my butter is now nice and soft, and the reason I do this is because it just makes it so much easier when adding in your sugar. You can see how soft my butter is because it's spread itself all over my bowl. There's a few little lumps, but that's absolutely fine, and there's obviously some of my beater as well. So into this bowl, I'm also going to add in two types of sugar. So I'm using brown sugar and caster sugar today. Now I like to use a mix of the two because they both give different things to the cookies. Brown sugar, because it has molasses in, it gives an extra moisture, it gives a really lovely caramelly flavour, so it's really nice for chewy cookies. I love adding this in. So my brown sugar is going in, and I'm also adding in some caster sugar. Now, here in the UK we get caster sugar. In the States and in other parts of the world you don't get caster sugar so easily. I really like working with caster sugar in my baking because it's a slightly smaller granule than granulated sugar, but it's slightly bigger than icing sugar. It's somewhere in between the two. And the size of the granules means that it dissolves really well. You don't get the graininess that you might get from granulated sugar over here in the UK. I have baked with both, and you can definitely taste the difference, so I would always recommend using caster sugar over granulated. So that's going into, and we're going to mix again. Right, so once your butter and sugars are combined, they will be lovely and fluffy and a slightly pale golden colour, like that. That is perfect. Now we're going to add one very little ingredient in, but it's going to give us plenty of flavour, and that is our vanilla. So we're going to mix this through before we add in our dry ingredients. And once that's mixed in, we're going to add our dry ingredients in. Now I'm just going to add them straight in without taking the bowl out. So we have some plain flour. Make sure if you're in the UK that you use plain flour and not self-raising, because plain flour doesn't have any raising agent in where self-raising does. So I want to add these in separately. That's why I'm using plain flour. Salt, baking powder, and finally some corn flour. Now corn flour is another little top tip of mine. This is also something that's going to give you really lovely chewy cookies. So if you don't have any corn flour, that's absolutely fine. Just substitute the same amount of plain flour instead and go with that. But I promise you will love having corn flour in your cookies. So that's going in as well. Right, we're going to mix this all up together again. So once everything is mixed together, you will end up with a kind of crumbly mixture, almost like a crumble topping or a crisp topping if you're in America. Let me show you. That is what you want. So if I grab my spatula and I poke it around, you can see it's fairly sticky. It sticks to itself because of the butter and how everything combines, but it's not sticking enough to make a cookie. That is absolutely perfect. That's exactly what we want it to be. So we're now going to add in the egg. Now I'm going to crack this in, but when you mix it in with the rest of the dough, make sure you don't overmix it. If you overmix it, you're going to make your gluten in your flour overdevelop, and that's going to give it a really tough cookie, and you want your cookies to remain chewy. So we're going to add the egg in and then mix it just until it starts to form larger clumps so that we know we can squeeze it together when we put it all together. So now the egg is in, we are going to mix again. Pop this back on here, and this should literally take me no more than 30 seconds. There you go. That actually took me about 10 seconds and not even 30. And you can see straight away as I lift my beater that it's all sticking to there. And you can see how it's all perfect, exactly what we want for our cookie dough. So now I'm going to finish it off by hand. So for my add-ins, because we're making raspberry and white chocolate cookies, I'm obviously going to add in some white chocolate chips and some freeze-dried raspberries. Now we are going to put fresh raspberries in as well, but I absolutely love the flavour of freeze-dried raspberries. It gives it a real pop of flavour, so I add these in as an extra. If you don't have them, don't add them in, of course. You will get flavour from the fresh raspberries as well, but these just make it extra special. This is going to get mixed through just by hand, just to get everything evenly spread through. So now that everything is combined, it is time to assemble our cookies. I'm going to make myself a little bit of space to work with. So we're going to move my stand mixer and bring my baking tray over. So this is just a normal baking tray lined with a bit of parchment so that the cookies don't stick. So that is ready for me. I have my cookie dough, of course, and I have some fresh raspberries. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a ice cream scoop to get my cookie dough. So I'm going to grab a scoop full of dough and pop it in my hand like that. So put your cookie dough and then flatten it in the palm of your hand, and into that we are going to pop a couple of raspberries. And then once you've got your raspberries in, give them a bit of a squeeze together, not too much because you don't want to release the juices. We're going to push all that cookie dough around it that we flattened before to put the raspberries right in the middle of the cookie. Now, if you need a little bit extra cookie dough, that is absolutely fine. Go ahead and add it in. If you don't, like I didn't there, once you have put it all together, give it a little bit of a roll, just to make sure everything is sealed. It'll help seal the cookie dough together on the outside so that the raspberries won't leak as they bake. That is my cookie ball ready. So I'm going to pop that on my baking tray. Make sure when you put them on your tray that you leave enough space for the cookies to spread as they bake. So I'm going to do this for the rest of my cookie dough and then bake up my cookies. These cookies do not need chilling at all, so they can go straight into the oven. They bake for about 9 to 10 minutes and then we will decorate them after. So once your cookies are done and cool, we can do some decorating. Now, of course, you can enjoy these cookies completely as they are. They are absolutely delicious. But if you want to make them look extra special, here's what I like to do. I like to drizzle a little bit of melted white chocolate over the top of the cookie and then sprinkle on some extra freeze-dried raspberries. I just think it looks so pretty and it finishes off the cookie perfectly. And there you have it, raspberry and white chocolate cookies. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe, and do let me know below what your thoughts are and if you will be making these too. Thanks for joining me today, friends. Happy baking.